our next people. So, of course, first we have Ben Palmer. He is a writer and podcaster. Ben contributes on multiple levels, from articles on the weirdest injuries in baseball's history to ranking the top outfielders in the game to a list of the 15 best baseball movies. Ben does it all here. Of course, you can find him on Twitter at Ben J. Palmer. Ben, thanks for joining today.
Thank you. I am very excited for what is going to be the Baseball is Fun panel.
Oh, yeah, this is a super fun one. And
it will probably be fun, would be my guess.
Up next, we have Chris Towers, the senior editor of CBS Sports. Chris Towers is also the co-host of arguably the most popular baseball podcast out there, Fantasy Baseball Today. Chris is also a contributor over at Sportsline. You can find him on Twitter at CTowersCBS. Good to have you here, Chris.
Thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to this. I think it'll be fun, and baseball is fun. So,
I have no idea.
It's like the easiest possible topic you could have given. I don't know if that says something about the amount of work that you thought I might be willing to put in that you put me on this one, but it was the right call. Frankly.
I mean, I just figure like, oh yeah, these are 4 fun guys, so let's just stick them together.
I just love that you have no idea what we're gonna do, and it's really tempting for me to like go Andy Kaufman and just like read The Great Gatsby for an hour or something, and just like totally screw with you.
All right, next we have Clay Link. Of course, Clay is the senior MLB editor over at RotoWire, the co-host of the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball podcast, as well as the radio host over at Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. He is very kind to bring me on last week with James Anderson. You can find him over at Twitter at Clay W Link. Welcome, Clay. Thanks so much for PitchCon.
I appreciate you having me. I'm going to be real honest with you. Like Eno Saris, I've got the ass a little bit, just for a variety of reasons.
What was that?
Some of those to do with Major League Baseball, mostly the owners of Major League Baseball. But I'm here to have fun, and I respect all you guys, and hopefully this will be a good escape for all of us, myself included.
Yeah, definitely. And lastly, but not least, of course, is Jake Ciely. If Jake's Twitter bio is any indication, he's literally the most accurate player ranker in the industry. He's currently a senior writer at The Athletic, as well as the president of the Flex League. You can find him on Twitter at allinkid. Yeah, kid. I got that. Nailed it. Good to see you. My God, is that Foley's behind you?
The Funkos? Or Foley's the... Yeah. Wasn't this segment my idea, and now it's like the worst person to have on is fun? Like, you just brought me on. I was like, all right, well, now everybody tuned out. I hope you made a lot of money before this hour.
We're going to get people to rescind their donations. They're going to be like, you know what? Actually, I don't know.
The more they give, the earlier I'll leave the show.
Yeah. We'll quit in 5 minutes. That's fine. I got TV to watch. That's fine.
All right, guys, take it away. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Nick. All right. Well, we've got everybody introed, so let's dive into it. This is the Baseball is Fun panel. That's what Nick called it, and we kind of talked about it and decided, you know what? Let's just talk about the fun stuff of baseball. Some of it will be fantasy related. There's been a lot of heavy fantasy stuff, which has been really cool. The end of the interview Yancey did was very, very genuine and kind of got deep for a minute there. So we're going to go way not deep and shallow and stupid. So we're going to start off by, first off, just to get a lay of the land, I want to start with each of you. Who's your team? Who's your baseball team? Chris, let's start with you, so everyone knows who's your baseball team you root for.
Unfortunately, you might be able to see it behind me. I'm a Marlins fan.
Ouch.
And that's mostly just because I'm a masochist. Like, I grew up in South Florida. The Heat have had a lot of success. That's pretty much it as far as South Florida sports in the last 2 decades. The Marlins are the only one that I still root for because I don't feel like I deserve love or joy. So clearly I should just be a Marlins fan. So that's, man, if this core ever gets good, I'm out.
You'll have to join me as an Orioles fan. Yeah. These are, you probably can't see, that is a lot of Orioles bobbleheads back there. And I'm wearing my You Can't Spell Win with Tillman shirt. So I understand the masochism of being a fan of a team as bad as the Marlins. Clay, who is your team?
Got the Reds.
Very nice.
Usually decked out in Reds gear. Not the most fashionable wardrobe, but a lot of Reds gear. And they've been terrible for a long time, but I thought they were looking pretty good for this season. My dad was a big Red Machine fanatic when I was growing up. I grew up in Ohio. So thankfully carried that over here to Wisconsin. No Bengals fandom, though. thank God.
Oh.
And yeah, man, the Reds I think are going to be coming soon.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Certainly better than the Marlins and the Orioles. And Jake, who's your
Yeah.
team? I think I can guess, but go ahead.
Oh, this is my temporary Go Padres because there's just so much talent, and I want them to win a World Series at this point because I was really rooting for I like rooting for teams that haven't won, mostly because also that's what I was looking behind me while Chris was talking. Syndergaard is tucked behind here. He's actually hit it as one of my Funkos because
many Funkos.
Oh yeah, well I've also officially disowned the Mets until they get rid of the bullpens. Until they sell off, I'm not doing it. I can't do it anymore. I gave up on them 3 years ago. They're still, I mean, they're in my heart. Actually, do I have another? Oh yeah, there's Bobble Belly. Can you see? Can you see? It's the Bobble Belly from when he hit the home run. That's the best one I have. But yeah. Unfortunately, the Mets don't get my fanmanship until the Wilpons are gone.
All right. And I do have to ask Chris because somebody asked in the chat, and I'm curious. The jersey. What's the jersey?
It's a Cuban team, Cienfuegos, and it's from Ebbets.com. If you guys have ever searched for it, it's just the best old school baseball stuff. This hat is also from it. I had to put the hat on because I shaved my head earlier today. And it's very warm in this room, and I didn't want to keep wiping my head during the show. So,
is your internet from Netscape.com? Like, what's going on over there?
Oh, am I bugging out? I'm sorry.
Yeah, exact perfect timing. My internet's terrible too. It's okay. We may have some hiccups.
You have a black hat with a red splotch, is like all we can tell.
Yep, and Chris is frozen. He'll come back eventually. Oh, there he is.
Hey guys.
We were just asking about your internet. Yeah, don't do anything with your internet. All right, so now we know your favorite teams. Now I want to know your favorite players. It doesn't have to be the favorite player unless you got one, but one of your favorite players, your favorite player growing up, whoever it is. We'll go counterclockwise. Jake, favorite player of all time, if you got one.
All time. Yeah, well, so I used to have a second. It used to be David Wright before I pulled his jersey down. Because I was taking the Met stuff down. But I've hung out with him down in Virginia Beach here when he's done his poker night. He's a super nice guy too. Like legitimately what you see on TV, like real deal in person. Same with Michael Kadire, by the way, a lot of those guys that's from the area. But all-time favorite. So I was super young, but Gary Carter, that's actually why I wore 8 for a very long time. And I do have an authentic Gary Carter jersey. And probably the best part about it. So he used to go to the church of my parents' friends in Florida, and they told him I was a huge fan. And you remember I think it was 87 tops that had the wooden border. Was that the one with the wooden border?
I believe you. I wasn't alive.
You guys aren't no help. Anyway, so Gary Carter, his card was him standing in front of the plate, and he got a 5x8 of it. But the problem was because the fans were behind him, there's so much color on it, and he signed with a blue Sharpie. And the only place he could sign, he set the letter with it. He said, "I'm sorry." It was the only place I could possibly sign and fit my name where you could see it was Gary Carter right across his crotch. So that's probably the best piece of memorabilia I have.
I like that he sent an apology so that he's just like,
I
crap.
I should have kept it.
I gotta explain this. He's gonna think something. Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, Clay, favorite player or one of your favorite players?
It's got to be the kid, Ken Griffey.
Yeah.
Growing up, he was my favorite. And when the Reds traded for him, that was like one of the best days of my childhood. I got to thank Jim Bowden for that in person recently. That was kind of cool. Yeah, Griffey was amazing. Obviously, the Reds' career was not fantastic. Dealt with a lot of injuries, but it was great to spore with a good note here that we got the all-in kid and talking about the kid here. But yeah, he was still fun to watch. Still hit a ton of homers with the Reds. So he's my favorite of all time. And current day, it's got to be Votto. It's kind of gotten a little sad in recent years, but he can still draw a walk.
Fun though. He's such a fun dude though. Like he's definitely one of my favorite.
Legitimately one of baseball's like most underrated, delightful weirdos. Like his whole throwing every foul ball that he gets at Wrigley Field completely out of the stadium is absolutely one of my favorite bits that any baseball player does.
Was that like 3 total? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, he does bits. Like that's what I love. Like Joey Votto has bits that he does.
I feel like he's got a really funny sense of humor. It's just it's weird and kind of strange.
He's the best. I love him. Chris, last but not least, who's your favorite player?
All time, I mean, I never got to watch him play, but Roberto Clemente, my dad's from Pittsburgh, my mom's from Puerto Rico. Growing up, he was God in our house, basically. And then, present or recent past, Jose Fernandez is maybe the most talented pitcher I've ever seen outside of Pedro. Pitched for the Marlins, Cuban immigrant, playing in Miami, all that whole story, and his just personality. He was such a vibrant guy. He loved playing baseball in a way that, like, you get the, like, he's like a kid out there in a lot of ways. And, for him, it really seemed genuine. Like, he just genuinely seemed to get a lot of joy just from, like, being on the field or being in the dugout. And so he was by far my favorite player to watch, basically, that I've ever seen.
He was, that's a great answer. Actually, and I want to tweak this question because, Clay, you made me think of this. Now I want to ask, we already know Clay's, Chris and Jake. We'll start with Chris. Who's your favorite player now, currently playing? Or do you have one?
It's probably Joey Votto, actually.
Yeah, that's fair.
Love everything about his approach to the game. He seems like a smart, thoughtful, funny dude like we talked about. I love Joey Votto. I will always believe that Joey Votto can turn it around and put up a 450 on base next year.
Yeah, I can understand that. Jake, who's your favorite guy playing right now?
I guess if I had to pick a Met, it would be Pete Alonso, obviously. And maybe it's really I can still root for the players, but because he's watching, I'll say Christian Yelich. So, I mean, that's just fun to actually see that he finally panned out and was beyond actually what anybody expected.
Are you suggesting that Yelich and Spore look alike?
Actually, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Spore, but since you're watching, I'm pretty sure somebody said Yelich looks like if he and I had a kid together.
I've always, and I am not the only person who has said this, but Christian Yelich and Pete Davidson look like brothers to me, which is just absurd. But Yelich
I am correct.
Sport,
Yeah,
though, I kind of see
somebody said that. Yeah, somebody did say that.
That's hilarious.
Hey, I will say this about Pete Alonso. Just a little story about him. I actually saw him before he was Pete Alonso. I mean, he was already Pete Alonso, but he was at North Carolina. He came up here as part of the Summer League. It's like the Northwest League. Saw him here in Madison defeat Jose Canseco in a home run derby in like 2015 or 16.
You should ask who he hates the most. That'd be different.
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. You know what? Jake's just going to host now.
Clay, I thought you were going to say you had seen like a sonogram.
I thought he was going to say like he had a different name. Like who was the one for the was it for the Indians that changed his name during the middle of his career?
Carmona, Roberto Hernandez. Right?
There you go.
Or
I knew him when he was David Bishop.
What was Leo Nunez? He was I can't. It's not important. That's not fun.
Yeah.
Random Marlins ephemera is not fun.
That's right. No, do you guys all right, well, good question. Do you guys have I like that it sounds like I set up like this is a good question, just so you know. Do you guys have a player you don't like? Like a player that
100%.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Jake. I mean, you sound like somebody personally hurt you. Who is it?
Yeah, he did personally. Justin Verlander's a dick. I mean, 100% a dick. This is years. This is before the Cy Young, and he was in spring training. And when you're trying to, get some, it's spring training. People should be willing to talk to you. And he was set up on the field. Well, there was a setup. He wasn't on it yet. It was a setup for ESPN. And the guy I was with at an old company, we went up and we were trying to ask. We got to talk to other players, and then we went to ask Verlander, and he turned to us and said, "I'm only talking to ESPN." I was like, "Screw you!" Like,
whoa,
yeah. So Justin Verlander, giant dick.
Oh my god,
and
total dick.
He went to the same college I did, so that's there you go.
And as mentioned in the chat by Glass Cobra, you guys do kind of look alike. I can see it.
Like Verlander?
Yeah, you look like a little bit like Verlander.
I think I've 100% fallen short in the love light compared to him, though.
Haven't we all? My wife isn't watching. I hope she's not watching. I gave her the link, though, so she might be. Never mind. Clay, Chris, do you guys have a player you can't stand?
We'll just put Brian McCann in perpetuity.
Yeah, he was going to be mine. So.
Why
he's retired, I think, but we talked about having the ass earlier. Nobody's had the ass so red like Brian McCann. So
he just the idea that this dude appointed himself like the czar of playing the game the right way, and then 12 months after he retired, he was like, oh man, there was so much cheating going on around me and I just couldn't do anything about it. Like, it was all Carlos. Like, come on, dude. And then, like, Jose Fernandez hits his first career home run. Takes, like, half a second to admire his handiwork, as a 20-year-old pitcher who hits a major league home run should. And Brian McCann meets him at home plate and, like, puts the glove on his chest and is like, hey, man. And it's like, dude, shut up. Nobody
You remember the Carlos Gomez home run?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That one made the rounds on Twitter last week. That was
Brian
Gomez just started
McCarron.
running backwards. Should have seen McCann and started running the opposite way just for fun, just to piss him off even more.
I do love that in the comments. Someone called him Brian McCarron.
How sad! Like, of all the Karens out there in the world, like, this is the past 2 years. Like, you just change your name.
Man, I know. Pour one out for all the Karens who are just like, look, I get it, but like, that's also my name.
Yeah, they get lumped in with all the other Karens of the world.
They get instant left swiped on the
They're
app.
like, oh, Karen, skip. Yeah, well, Karen. I mean, I've never met. I don't think I've ever met a young person named Karen. One. I've only ever met one. It feels like an old person name or a middle-aged person name, like a Linda or someone else who works in HR.
I feel like there's 8 billion Laurens right now.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Absolutely. You know what? Let's pivot to baby names. Skip baseball. Let's talk about people's names. No. For just to put a pin in it, my favorite player of all time is Rafael Palmeiro, and that sucks, but it is. It's always been. When I was a kid and he was on the Orioles, I loved him. The whole steroid thing really sucked. I still believe he should be in the Hall of Fame, but that's me. But I was a huge Rafael Palmeiro fan. Let's move on to ballparks. How many ballparks have? Well, do you guys know off the top of your head how many different ballparks have you been to? We'll start with Jake.
10 plus. 10 plus. Yeah. I probably have to count them up because, I mean, if we're counting Shea and City, old Yankee, new Yankee. So then the Marlins, old Marlins, not the new Marlins. Boston, Colorado, Chicago. There's a few others in there. Cleveland on a one trip. Detroit, sadly. It's over 10. I'd say somewhere between 10 and 12.
Nice. That definitely beats me. I haven't been to that many. Clay.
Yeah, I'm probably below that. If we're talking just major league parks, probably 7 to 8.
The 15 Atlantas.
The old Busch Stadium, I was there, and it's old Riverfront Stadium in Ohio is there. But active
you're talking about
major league
Mistake
stadiums.
by the Lake? Is that?
Hey man, that's blasphemy. I love Riverfront Stadium, aka Synergy Field. But yeah, I really liked Camden, and Coors Field was awesome too when I was out at Coors. The sky is at Coors, man.
I can, yeah.
If you're elevated, if you're at elevation, you know what I mean?
I have a friend who's from Denver, and she raves. I've never been to Coors, but she just raves about Coors Field.
It's super nice out there. I just counted up as 14. I was off, but
14.
I stood behind the bullpen just watching them while I was out there for a little bit. It's a really nice bull. Oh no, 15. I forgot about Washington. Good grief. Washington, by the way, is the nicest, most boring stadium in the world.
Oh my God, yes. So I'm located in Maryland. I have been to Nat Stadium a few times. It is very nice and yes, very boring. Good food. Good food.
Why is everything green? You're in the Nationals. Everything is green except for like the red porch.
And you get the skyline of just so many cranes because there's just constant construction happening in Washington D.C. and they all need cranes. It's a fine stadium. There's nothing bad about it, but there's nothing exciting about it either. Chris, how many stadiums you been to?
So I think officially it's 11, but can I get a ruling on how to handle Pro Player, Joe Robbie, Dolphins, Sun Life, Land Shark? I think the Marlins played in the same stadium that had 7 different names over about 15 years. So,
well, it's only one time. I counted that old. It's technically still only one.
Technically, it's only one. But, if I'm making a list of all the stadium names I've been to, it almost doubles.
It's a different list.
Yeah, exactly. So, of all the stadiums you've been to, do you have a favorite? We'll bump back to Chris. Yeah.
Yeah. PNC. That's not even close. It's amazing.
Oh, I forgot about PNC. 16.
Yeah, it's just the whole. They shut down the bridge walking across from downtown into the stadium area. The area around there is really nice. if you ever want to make a day of it, there's the Andy Warhol Museum's like a block and a half away. Lovely way.
How
to
long
spend
ago
it.
were you there, Chris?
I haven't seen a game there in probably 7 or 8 years, but I was
so
there.
you didn't see the Game of Thrones entrance that they do?
No.
Oh, the
didn't
game.
know that was a
Look,
thing.
you can look it up on the internet. It's actually they pulled some of them, but they did their entire lineup with the real Game of Thrones music and did their own graphics going through the city of Pittsburgh, of everything.
Wow.
It's honestly the best intro. Although that's not my pick for park, but it's up there. That intro was amazing.
That is awesome.
I will definitely have to look that up. Clay, do you have a favorite park?
I'm embarrassed to say I've never been to PNC. That's high on the list.
No.
I'll probably say Coors, but I want to shout out Great American Ballpark too. I know it kind of doesn't really get much love, but the view is excellent out on the Ohio River. Very cool, kind of cozy little ballpark. So if you're ever in the in that area, I recommend
it. Baseball pods with what I think is probably correct in the chat with the 3 most beautiful ballparks: AT&T, PNC, and Camden. I will always love Camden Yards. But Jake, favorite ballpark?
Fenway. I know it's not even close for me. And as you see, it's like what I say, 15 or 16 we counted it up to because I kept forgetting about some. Like Fenway was just awesome. And it's just the experience in and of itself. I had tickets right on pesky pole, so that was kind of cool. And when I was there back with Papelbon pitching, when they did the 8th inning, I don't remember why he came in at that point, because obviously they do the Sweet Caroline in the 8th and 9th, and not the 9th inning. But during the break, the entire crowd sings along, and the coolest thing was while I was there, I don't know if they do this all the time. I would kind of assume they do, but Papelbon started pitching, and the crowd kept singing until while he's pitching until they finished the chorus. It was the coolest thing.
That is, I have experienced a Sweet Caroline thing, but I experienced it in Camden Yards because the Orioles thought it would be very funny during the 7th inning stretch to start playing Sweet Caroline and then be like, nope, just kidding, and then play what Camden Yards always plays, which is Thank God I'm a Country Boy, because, rural Baltimore. And it's never made sense, but I love it. But they did that when Manny Ramirez hit his 500th home run, and the crowd was mostly Boston fans. And once they started playing Sweet Caroline, because the 500th home run was right before it, the whole stadium just kept singing it. And they tried to do Thank God I'm a Country Boy, and the whole stadium was like, nope. We're mostly Boston fans here, and we're just riding high over Manny's 500th home run. It was a mistake, but it was, they definitely get loud.
On second base during the home run trot?
Oh God, it was so long ago. I don't remember. I don't remember.
I really hope Manny comes back in like the NPB or KBO, one of those. He's looking for a comeback.
Yeah. He's
Be pretty
I'm
awesome.
always here for a Manny comeback, no matter how many times that happens.
That makes me think. You mentioned Rafael Palmeiro as your favorite player.
Yes,
one of the most fun things that's happened in baseball recently was Rafael Palmeiro and his son, who was like 28, signing with one of the independent leagues in Texas.
Yeah.
Rafael Palmeiro's son had like a 600 OPS, and Rafael Palmeiro had like a 970. He was 50
he was still
old or something. He was like the best hitter in the league.
Yeah,
they don't care about PEDs.
It's gonna be so emasculating to go back to the hotel room with your dad, who's 30 years older than you, and he's just crushing it, and you're just like, oh boy, I don't think this is gonna work out for me, Dad.
There's a whole Sports Illustrated article, I think it was, on like how just like depressed Rafael Palmeiro was basically after he retired, and how like he just desperately wanted to get back into baseball and stuff like that. So I kind of get why he was still playing. At the ballpark, I want your best memory, like just a memorable moment that you saw in person. Doesn't have to be your favorite, but just something really memorable you saw at the ballpark. We'll jump across the screen to Clay. Go first.
I was at the game. You guys may have seen the clip over the years of outfielder Ryan Friel. Rest in peace, Ryan Friel. He made a great diving catch on right field where he just completely laid out and made the catch. And I was there in the stadium, in the stands out in right field, so right near him, like probably 100 yards away, and saw it live, and everybody jumped up. And I just have a very vivid memory of Ryan Friel making that catch, and still a big fan of his today.
That's awesome. Jake.
Yeah, outside the Sweet Carolina for Boston, I would have to say I was in right field for Carlos Beltran's last Mets game, and he was actually playing in right field for that game. And the entire time, I mean, it's not very innovative because it was all the same chant, like the chants you hear everywhere. But anytime the fans got a chance, it was "We will miss you," or like, you know, "Thanks for
really cool.
playing." You know, just and every single time, I think there was like 5 or 6 times that they chanted. Every single time, he turned around and acknowledged us. And at the end of every single inning, he kind of gave a cap flip or flipped the ball or anything like that. So that was actually pretty cool because it was right there.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's awesome. Chris, what's your most memorable ballpark memory?
So I've been to a World Series game that the Marlins won on a walk-off, but I'm not going to go with that one. I'm going to go with the World Baseball Classic, I think in 2009. Either 2009 or 2012. It was the United States versus Puerto Rico. And it is by far the most fun experience I've ever had at a baseball game. Not at all like a usual baseball game. People brought pots and pans, and I think it was like the same year or maybe the year after the vuvuzelas at the World Cup.
Oh, God.
So people had vuvuzelas at the game, and it was just like I'm half Puerto Rican, half American. I was rooting for the U.S. I had a dumb American flag cap, and Puerto Rico mercy ruled the U.S. And it was really fun. It's really fun. That's one of the nice things about mixed loyalties when it comes to your national sport rooting interests is when little Puerto Rico beats the U.S. in an international competition, like that Olympic basketball game back in 2004. You get to enjoy it either way. But no, the atmosphere there, the World Baseball Classic games are so much fun. I'm really bummed that it's being canceled for the upcoming year because it is one of my favorite baseball things to watch.
That's awesome. Yeah, I
better add it to the Olympics, hopefully.
Yeah. That would actually be really
the World
cool.
Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
Maybe let the big dogs play too. I know Harper was saying that he wants to play, and that'd be great for the game of baseball.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that would be really cool. My most memorable baseball ballpark moment was a really bad one, but it's one I definitely remember. I was at the 30-3 game that the Orioles lost to the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was rough. And that was game 1 of a doubleheader, and we stayed for both. And they lost the second one too. Wes, yes, in the chat, Wes Littleton got a save in the 30-3 game, which was amazing. But it got fun later on once the game was like, when it was like 28-3 or whatever, like all of Camden Yards had given up, and we were just, I mean, the stadium would erupt when someone threw a strike. Like when an Orioles pitcher threw a strike, the stadium thought, you would have thought a walk-off home run happened. Everyone was just screaming and going crazy. So that was kind of fun, but definitely memorable. And I don't know why we stayed for the second game. I mean, I guess we paid for it, so we might as well. It was also disappointing. When you go to the ballpark, what's your ballpark food that you grab? Is there a certain ballpark that has a special thing that you absolutely love, or is it just like when I go, I'm always grabbing a hot dog or whatever it is? Chris, what's your ballpark food?
So Marlins Park, well, I don't know if they've changed it since Jeter took over. I actually didn't go to a game last year, and I moved to New York this year, so I won't go to a game for a while. But out in left field, they had like the Latin American or Caribbean food section, and they had really, really good ceviche, which is a weird thing to eat at a baseball game, but every time we would go, we would get that. And then ice cream and soft serve ice cream with sprinkles in a baseball helmet.
Oh, yeah. Always.
Every time I go to a baseball game,
I always do the Dippin' Dots, though. I don't know why, but I am a sucker for Dippin' Dots.
I'm a Luddite. I don't want the ice cream of the future. I want the ice cream of the past.
That's not the future anymore. Now it's just
it's just the thing. Yeah,
ice cream balls.
The 90s, basically.
Yeah. Man, I love it, even though it like freeze dries your tongue and everything. But getting a bunch of Dippin' Dots in a baseball helmet, yeah, I'm all about it.
I don't think I've had Dippin' Dots since like Space Camp in 1996 or something.
Oh, the only place I ever get them is the ballpark because I can't find them anywhere else. But yeah, they're delicious. Clay, what's your ballpark food?
I'm just a standard hot dog boy. Unless I'm getting Skyline, which I saw Skyline got a shout out in the chat earlier. Love Skyline. It angers me when people crap on it. on Twitter. But yeah, I don't want anything too cumbersome as I'm going back to my seat. I don't want to be spilling all over myself. And hot dogs, messy enough when you load it up with mustard and whatnot. So yeah, I don't want to be like elbowing people and just causing a mess.
I get that, and I'm with you on that. However, there is one exception that I make, and that is at Camden Yards. It's crab dip waffle fries. I will make an exception.
That does sound amazing.
Oh my God.
That sounds incredible.
They are, so you just get a basket of waffle fries and they just cover them in crab dip. And it's awesome. Messy, and it's always like extremely hot, but absolutely delicious. I'll deal with the hot or the mess for that one. But that's really it. Jake, your ballpark food.
Yeah, I've actually had that because I'm a sucker for trying whatever the like original or authentic or like when I went to PNC, I had their pierogi burger kibasa sandwich thing.
Did you have the Kryptonite brothers?
I don't remember. It was near third base. So
Kryptonite brothers, just a big sandwich with French fries on it. It's
awesome. Dude, I've had that. Yes.
Yeah, so like when I was at Cleveland, I had the fry sandwich. Like, I always try whatever their thing is, but I also always get myself a soft pretzel. Actually, when I was intern for the Norfolk Times, actually one of my earlier girlfriends was a pretzel girl, so I have a soft spot for pretzels.
Hey, soft spot for pretzels, nice.
Oh yeah, so there.
That's awesome. Oh, French fries on the sandwich in the chat. That sounds delicious, and I should do that. Oh my God!
That's what Chris was saying.
It's like this tall. It's ridiculous.
Oh, okay. I've had Primanti Brothers. I've never had that specific sandwich. That sounds
they did
incredible.
They do it in Cleveland too. Except I'm pretty sure theirs had coleslaw or something on it too as well.
Oh my God, that sounds fantastic. All right,
Cleveland is so freaking depressing. I mean, I think it's different, but when I was there, I have never seen. If anybody out there has never been to Cleveland, I have never seen such a big city where people don't actually live in the city. Because we went for a Saturday game. So that trip was I was going to Cedar Point, and I said I'll hit up Cleveland and Detroit for baseball games. Actually, in the same day, so it might have been Sunday because I saw the day game and then I saw the night game at Detroit. So, or it might have been whatever day it was. So whatever, because it was a weekend, and we went to get the food at Cleveland, and I turned. I was like, "Oh, I'll look at the city. I'll see what it is." Turn the street, and there wasn't a single soul in the street. Like I felt like I was in a zombie movie. I'm like, does nobody live in the Cleveland, like the city? Just everybody leaves and gets the hell out of there because it's so miserable.
Because it's Cleveland, exactly. I have always wondered, like, that it is so like everyone rags on Cleveland. Cleveland it's like the cliche that you rag on Cleveland. I don't know where that started, but it just I don't know. I am so curious about the origins of like when did everybody in the country decide, you know what? Yeah, Cleveland sucks. Like, yeah.
I feel like it was probably when they decided to put the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame there. I think that was probably the moment it was like, really?
Why?
And when Drew Carey said Cleveland rocks, everybody's just like, no.
Yeah, that was oh my God, who originally did Cleveland Rocks? That was Chris, help me with this. The Mott the Hoople guy, Ian, lead singer of Mott the Hoople. Sorry.
Oh.
This is yes, Ian. Somebody.
I
Rappaport.
can't think of his name.
Close, almost. Anyways, sorry. That's a little. No one cares.
I will say that amusement park that you mentioned, Jake. What is that?
Cedar Point.
Cedar Point. Cedar Point's dope, though.
Oh, I've always wanted to go.
Millennium Falcon or whatever that is.
Millennium Force.
Millennium Falcon
theme
Star
park.
Wars.
No question.
Millennium Force is made.
Always wanted to go to Cedar Point. They have some of the coolest looking roller coasters. I did actually before I worked for Pitcherless, when I was just getting freelance writing jobs. I got a job writing trivia questions for a bar trivia company, and I had to write 1,000 questions on roller coasters and theme parks. And wow. It was 500, and then I had to do 500 on trains and rail travel. It was. I did it. I got paid $2 a question. I was fine with that. But
by the way, in the chat, base chop, Cleveland over Detroit. Detroit looks like God dumped a giant bucket of dirt water on the entire city. I'm just letting you know. Like, I've never seen such a dirty looking city building wise.
I've never been to Detroit, so I can't speak.
Stadiums are super nice, but the city legitimately looks like you need to wash the buildings.
In fairness, both cities rock.
So
okay, maybe there's a correlation there.
Anyways, I know there's a lot of great roller coasters in Cedar Point. I've always wanted to go. It sounds super cool. We're gonna pivot away from ballparks. Now we're gonna I want a quick question for all of you. Your favorite baseball video game, if you have one. Jake, we'll start with you. What's your favorite baseball video game?
You have to come to me for video games. It's
Yes.
Ken Griffey Jr. baseball, no question about it. Everybody looked like they're freaking built out of like wrestling highlights of the 90s with the jack shoulders and chest, and the waist is like this big. Plus, it's Ken Griffey Jr. baseball is the best ever. There's no even question. Don't shake your head, Chris. There's no question it's the best ever. It is.
Yeah, to be clear, that's Ken Griffey Jr. presents Major League Baseball. Right?
Yes.
For Super Nintendo, not the one for 64.
Correct.
I agree with you. That's that's probably my favorite too. Although I'm playing Super Mega Baseball 3. Have you guys played this?
Yes.
Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? It's a lot of fun. It's really good. It's really kind of like, it looks all arcadey and kind of crazy, but it's very much like a straight simulation of baseball, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
That I might have to check that out. I'm stupid, and I own an Xbox, so I don't have MLB The Show. So the last baseball video games I played were like the 2K games, which I loved. But
did you ever play the one?
Did
you ever play the one where they were giving away $1 million for like 2 or 3 straight years for the first
for the perfect game?
Perfect game.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah, I played those.
Because that was the year that everybody was using Ubaldo Jimenez, because the game was developed after that first half where he was ungodly. So he was like a 99 in that game. Yep.
I do remember that, absolutely. And I tried to get the perfect game, and I failed.
So
Chris,
did I.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
I got to the ninth. This is the only time I've ever broken a controller. I got to the ninth inning, 2 outs, and I broke the controller.
My God.
I was livid. And here's the worst part about it. Pitch him inside, and he hits it down the third base line. As a lefty, by the way. Like I was like, that doesn't work. You're not God. Anyway,
it still haunts you. I see. Chris, your favorite baseball video game?
MVP Baseball 2005. Let's move on. No need to discuss it further. It's the best game.
Oh.
It's the best sports game ever.
Oh my God.
Unless we're counting Tony Hawk 2.
Forgot about that.
As a sports game, MVP Baseball 05 is the best sports game.
It doesn't hold up that well. It was just the most innovative at the time. It finally innovated like what baseball is today.
There's stuff in that game that games still don't do. Like,
that's fair. I'm not saying it's a terrible pick.
That game had, I think, A, AA, AAA. You could completely renovate your whole stadium, build it from scratch. Stuff that, like, when I play MLB The Show, which admittedly I haven't in like 3 years, so maybe they've added this stuff. But, like, it was stuff that they didn't have yet. It was amazing.
Yeah, I totally forgot about MVP Baseball.
I loved MVP, but I did try to hook it up recently. Through an HD TV, and it looks pretty terrible nowadays. I agree with Jake. It doesn't hold up as well as you probably remember, but
I remember
that's on the short list for sure.
They used to have, like, I remember when they first added like Sammy Sosa doing the hop after hitting a home run, and it was like, oh my God, it's like watching TV. Yeah. And now you look at it and it's like,
was that the one? Was that the one where Gary Thorne was the play-by-play guy on the video game? I remember having a baseball game in like the earlier mid 2000s that was a PC game, and Gary Thorne was the play-by-play guy, and I thought it might have been MVP Baseball. Maybe I'm crazy.
I think Matt Vasgersian was MVP Baseball.
Yeah.
Oh, so for the longest, I'm not gonna lie. For the longest time, I thought Matt Vasgersian only did baseball games.
All right,
I'm looking for
the college
versions. Magic of the internet here.
Followed up. The college versions were pretty good too.
They had college versions. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I did play 07 once they stopped having the MLB license. Yeah,
the ping, the aluminum bat, kind of liked.
Love
but
God.
That's a good one. The Bigs too. I don't know if you guys ever played the Bigs, but that was kind of a fun, like almost like an NFL Blitz style arcade game. Came out a few years back.
Blitz. I forgot about that.
Gary Thorne was
another
Gary Thorne was 2K from 2K9 through 2K13.
You're right. Yeah, I'm thinking of something else then. I don't know what I'm thinking of, but
I didn't know that. I looked it up.
No. Yeah. No, I knew he was definitely 2K. I thought he had done MVP, but I'm probably wrong. But we'll move on from that. I also want to move, and I'm going to preface this by saying, and I'm saying this for myself, I'm going to try and keep this quick because I could talk about baseball movies and in fact I did on Bench with Bubba for a total of about 3 or 4 hours. I won't do that. But favorite baseball movie, we will start with Clay. Favorite baseball movie.
Mine's going to be The Sandlot, and I know it's kind of polarizing at this point. I don't really I don't see the other side of the case, but the nostalgia factor is what carries it nowadays. But it's still, it's not like a great film or anything, but it's still a lot of fun. And then when you're that age and you first see it, you're going through a lot of the same things. And I still watch that movie every now and then. And the fireworks scene where they're playing at night and then they all just get distracted. It just brings back a lot of great memories. And yeah, Paul Sporer, of course, stars in that film.
So everybody who writes for Pitcher List right now is like probably laughing because it's a running joke that I really don't like The Sandlot, which I don't. I really do not like The Sandlot. And it's okay. I fully understand that is an unpopular viewpoint. I
gotta go.
Thank you, Chris, for having
it's okay. And
take a stand for us.
I want to explain why. I saw The Sandlot for the first time when I was 18. I had never seen it as a kid. So that nostalgia factor, that feeling you have when you see it as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, I didn't have that. I saw it for the first time. I was like 17 or 18, and I was just like, what is this? Okay.
That's fair, it's all subjective.
Yeah, absolutely. And film entirely is subjective. And I am totally fine with people who love The Sandlot because the beauty of movies, the beauty of all art is that people love different things for different reasons. People love crappy stuff for a personal reason, and that's cool. And I think a lot of people love The Sandlot because they saw it as a kid. And if there is one thing I will give The Sandlot credit for, it is very genuine. It is very, I don't think the creators of the film were just like trying to like make some money off of kids who like baseball. I think it was created by people who really do love baseball and loved playing baseball as a kid and wanted to communicate that. It just did not connect with me, and I just did not like it at all. And then it became like a thing where
you could have just said that you didn't like Benny the Jet because he assaults people. Like that would have had a better argument. I
think it's a little overly nostalgic for the '60s. And there's a whole. It's fine. I won't go off too much on it. It's just everybody at Pitcher List is like, Ben's terrible because he doesn't like The Sandlot, and it just became a thing where it's not even the baseball movie I hate the most. And Spore's yawning at me. It's okay.
What's that one? What's the movie?
The one I hate the most. The one I hate the most is Trouble with the Curve.
I've never seen that.
That movie is so. What's his name? Who plays the GM? Jay Moore plays this like hot shot Billy Bean-esque GM, or no, like Ben Charrington kind of GM. Not a former player. He's a big stats nerd, and he gets all mad when they draft the wrong player because you only draft players based on their high school statistics. That is like a diatribe that he goes on. He like pulls out a computer and like, look at his numbers, and he's like a high school first baseman.
No, it's only if they have a hot girlfriend.
That is. That movie made me so mad. I hated that movie.
Me too. And I think and I'll stop after this. Yes, I know, chat. We all hate the movie. Yes, so let us just enjoy hating it together. The thing that I will say encapsulates why I hate the movie is there's a scene where Amy Adams' character is in a cafe or something, and she overhears somebody talk about, hey, somebody just threw a no-hitter. She stops a waiter, and she says, did you just say somebody threw a no-hitter? And the waiter says, yes, it was Jair Jurgens. Jair Jurgens never threw a no-hitter, but I guess you just make it up for the movie. That's fine. And then she says, Jair Jurgens, that's not possible. He's a sinker ball pitcher who works on the corners. Which means nothing at all. I mean, it's just jargon thrown into a sentence. Everyone's bored. We're losing viewers. People are rescinding their donations. It's okay. The Sandlot is Clay's favorite movie. Now, Jake, your favorite baseball movie?
It's a tie. It depends on what I'm in the mood for. It's either Major League or Roland Harmon because everybody wanted to be a Major League pitcher. And proof at the end of the movie, underhanded ephus is how you get people to strike out.
Nick saying he trusted me. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm sorry. You should have never trusted me. Major League is a great. I love Major League. That is a fantastic choice. That's great. Chris, your favorite baseball movie?
Yeah, Bob Uecker in Major League might be like a top 5 comedic performance by anybody ever. He is so good in that movie. But
he makes Major League 2 somewhat watchable.
Yeah, it's the Sandlot for me. the best sports movies aren't really about sports.
Yep.
I totally agree with like the kind of like oh, James Earl Jones's character played in the majors. We're just gonna kind of like that's just a thing that happened. He played against Babe Ruth. That don't love the whitewashing of that aspect of the movie, but
Yeah. Huh.
like Clay said with the scene where they're playing under the lights and the fireworks are going off, and like that version, Ray Charles' version of America the Beautiful should be the American anthem. Like that scene is perfect, and that choice of song is perfect.
True. I get it. And every single time I talk about not liking The Sandlot, you would think I insulted somebody's mother or something like that. Everyone's just like, oh God. All right. We're going to move on from baseball movies because that could be an hour unto itself. We're going to talk a little bit about fantasy, and specifically, I want to ask you, in a fantasy championship matchup, who is the most, or a key matchup, who's the most random baseball player that you really were counting on? So, for an example, I really needed Kyle Lobstein to throw a pretty decent start on the last day of my championship matchup to win the championship. So, who was your Kyle Lobstein? Chris, do you have one that you can think of?
Yeah, it was an Angels closer, and it was a head-to-head categories game.
Houston
I was
Street?
up like 5.5 to 4.5, and I think we were tied in saves. And I had the Angels closer, and the other guy had Ken Giles. I think that's what it was. It was the Astros against the Angels. It was the Sunday night game, last game of the week, last week of the season. And the Angels guy blew the save, which would have been fine. But then the Astros came back and won, and Ken Giles got the save in extra innings. And that's how I lost the championship. I can't remember which Angels closer it was. I think it was 2016.
Jeez. That's rough. Clay.
So that one, yeah, that's the one I'll never forget.
There's always one.
I don't have a great answer, but I'll probably say Scooter Gennett because I picked him up in a head-to-head NL only league that year and carried me to a title. And I remember him, it wasn't the week he had the 4 home runs in a game, but he had a couple big hits and drove in a couple big runs. And we all kind of forget about Scooter now. It's unfortunate, but Scooter Gennett, hopefully he's back playing in the bigs sometime soon. But Scooter, I'm always thankful for him carrying me to a title.
That's awesome. Jake, your most random player.
Well, it's not random. So
or not random, but
yeah. Well, it's actually pretty recent because it was when I won labor. I had just before the deadline traded for D. Gordon to get steals, and in 2017, that was when he had like 13 or something like that in the last month, and I ended up that steals category was just what got me. I think I won by like a point at the end. We actually went into the last day with a 3-way tie.
Jeez. All right. Now, because I want to try and fit in as many questions as I can, so I'm gonna
rapid fire.
I have some. Yeah, we're gonna rapid fire a little bit. I have some non-baseball questions I really want to get to. So this is going to be my last baseball question. Do you have a guy who was your fantasy player that you just kept coming back to, no matter how much he hurt you, all the time, constantly? You were just like, I'm always drafting this guy, and he always beats me, and he always tears me down. I did it with Ubaldo Jimenez for a long time. I did with Tim Lincecum for a little while too. So we'll start. Jake, who was your fantasy player that you just couldn't quit?
Well, it was pretty recent. I can't. And then he finally came through for 1 year, and I still kept giving him look, the reasons for it, Domingo Santana. I just kept if he could just stay healthy and put together a full season, you're talking 30, potentially more, 30, 40 possibly. I just always had a soft spot for Domingo Santana. I wanted to work every single year, and it only worked once.
Yeah, actually, I don't blame you. I kind of have a soft spot for him too. Clay, who's your fantasy kryptonite?
It's kind of a work in progress, but probably Herman Marquez. I was big on Marquez last year, and I'm buying back in. Same with Vlad Jr. Usually I tend to hold a grudge on a guy, and I won't go back the next year just because I've been burned, and I have that that fallacy in my head, that recency bias in my head. So I admit that I do kind of hold a grudge, but yeah, I'm back in on Herman Marquez this year.
So we just like say 98% Rocky starters. Is that just?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Chris.
Always try to talk myself into them.
Yeah, anybody who listens to fantasy baseball today this year knows it's Giancarlo Stanton right now. I don't worry about injuries, and when it works out, it worked out 2 years in a row. He didn't miss a single game. Everybody forgets that. 2019 is the only season that ever happened. All of a sudden, it's Giancarlo Stanton. Like, I've drafted him probably in like 65% of my leagues this year. If he gets hurt, I'm gonna be really hurting, but man, if he doesn't, he's a top 20 player if he's healthy. So whatever.
I can understand that. All right, we're gonna start the non-baseball questions. I have 2 non-baseball questions, but the first one's a 5-parter. So this is gonna be quick. This is gonna be quick, and I just want you to say something real fast because I want to try and get both of these in. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask each of you for a recommendation in each of 5 categories. This can be something obscure that you think more people should know about. This can be something that everybody knows about and you just love. Whatever it is, it's whatever you want. First thing I'm going to ask is movies or TV or TV. What is a movie or a TV show that you would recommend? We'll start with Chris.
Happy Endings TV show. It was on for 3 years. I think it's on Hulu right now. It's what you love about like How I Met Your Mother and Friends, but it's so much smarter and funnier than either of those shows. And
I hate the girl with dark hair, and I still like that a lot.
It's one of the funniest shows I've ever seen.
I definitely need to watch that. Okay, I don't think I've even heard of that. Jeez, Clay.
I just recently watched the other day the new, not new, but a couple years ago, the Blade Runner that came out.
Yes.
Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
I like that a lot.
Love
Most
that
of you
movie.
have probably seen that. But TV, like I mentioned this when I was doing Vlad Sedler's thing on Guru Elite. It's a Beef House. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Beef House.
I don't know.
Tim Heidecker, Eric Wareheim. It's really like disgusting part of it. But there was an episode called Prunes that made me laugh harder than I've laughed in a long time. I watched it 3 straight times and I was crying all 3 times. So
Oh my God.
Check out Beef House on Adult Swim.
For sure. Jake, movie or TV?
Oh, TV. I'll give you 2 cartoons
Okay.
too, and I don't even care. Star Wars: The Clone Wars cartoon. It starts
I'm watching
off
the last season now.
Yeah, a little rough with the animation, but especially the final 3 episodes are I would argue the best Star Wars storyline, everything. Just go through the entire thing. You're missing if you don't go through the entire thing. And then if you're like me and you grew up on it, the new DuckTales is worth it. I don't care if it's 10 years old.
New DuckTales
Adult
is good.
humor is mixed in there. The new, I will say this, as you can see, I have my Scrooge and Launchpad and Darkwing, of course. But the new Launchpad voice actor is, I can't believe they found somebody that's even better than the original.
Yeah, it's Beck Bennett from SNL. Love it. My son, my 9-year-old son, loves DuckTales, and I love watching it with him. All right, next category is books. We'll start back with Jake. What is a book that you would recommend?
So I haven't read a book in the longest time, mostly because what we do, I chill out by watching TV. I don't want to read anything more. I barely read other people's work because I'm tired of reading stuff. So I'll screw it. I don't care if I sound like an 8-year-old again. I will say, I'll give you a comic. Justice League Tower of Babel might be the best comic I ever read.
I am reading that right now.
How good is that?
I'm reading the issues right before the Tower of Babel storyline, so I'm getting into it. But it's cool. I'm excited for the Tower of Babel storyline.
You know what? And while you guys I might as well just go get some gummy bears to eat. Screw this.
Perfect. All right. While he does that, Clay, what's a book you would recommend?
Most of you have probably read this, but Slaughterhouse-Five, that's probably one of my favorite books of all time. Any other Kurt Vonnegut that you can get your hands on, I highly recommend it. Slaughterhouse-Five is a trip. Check out any Vonnegut if you have time.
Yeah, Vonnegut's great. Love the Haribo gummy bears. That's fantastic. Chris, what's a book you'd recommend?
Probably the last book that really impacted me was called Everything Matters by Ron Curry Jr. It's kind of hard to explain. There are aliens and sort of time travel and an asteroid that hits the Earth. It was one of those books that I could not sleep until I finished it. I literally read it in one sitting. It was incredible, yeah.
All right, next category we're going to do is music. I'm going to come to Chris last because I have a feeling he and I are similar in music taste, and I feel like
I
he's
didn't know
going to
this
be
was
like,
on the list.
oh my God. Anything. It can be, honestly, if you want to say, hey, you should listen to the Beatles. Like, I don't care. Whatever comes to mind, and usually the first thing that pops in your head, that's what I want. Clay, music you would recommend. Album, a band, a song, whatever.
I'm gonna go with Ghostface Killa, Supreme
Yes.
Clientele.
Yeah.
Yes.
Supreme Clientele is just off the charts, and I still remember having that, the CD, and I don't have the actual physical CD anymore, but I gave that so much spin, and it still holds up. It's incredible. So if you've not heard that, look for Supreme Clientele.
Great.
It also
One of the
taught me
best
the word
hip-hop albums.
clientele when I was like 11. I had no idea what that word meant at the time.
One of the best hip hop albums ever. Absolutely, for sure. Jake, music recommendation.
Yeah, so I went through some of Gummy Bears. I went through my rap phase growing up. I still listen to it, but I haven't listened to anything probably like new-ish in a long time. So nobody's gonna listen to me ever again about anything. You can just tune out. You can unfollow me on Twitter. So I'm very alternative rock these days, and there's a band that's Japanese that sings in American and Japanese, and I don't know why I like it so much. But One OK Rock, if anybody likes alternative rock, I maybe was watching all the anime growing up, like Dragon Ball Z, and listening to it, and I don't know. Go check it out, and then hate me because obviously I'm a kid.
That's awesome. Chris, music recommendation.
All
Yeah, I know. You have to pick just, yeah.
right. Carly Rae Jepsen's the
Did you say Carly Rae Jepsen?
Released. Yes.
You know what?
Incredible.
Yeah.
One of the most
Great
fun
pop
concerts I've been
artist.
to in the last few years.
So
and
weird.
the new Jason
Yeah,
Isbell
it's
album is really good.
so good.
And I'll
Yes.
throw out a pop punk band called Charlie Bliss. Their album
Charlie Bliss
last
is
year-
fantastic. Dude, I have their album last year coming in the mail tomorrow on vinyl. I love that album.
I wanted to order it last weekend, and it was out of stock at my local record store. But
God,
that
it
is,
It
I
was
listen to that
$12 on
album-
Amazon.
I listen to that
check it
album
out.
at least once a week. Still, it came out
So
like a year
good.
and a half ago. It's amazing.
That's so funny. That's amazing. All right, cool. We got 2 more categories in 2 more minutes, so perfect. This category, food, real quick. Your favorite food, a restaurant you've been to that you love, whatever, favorite food or what a food you would recommend. Chris.
I just recently discovered there's an ale house, a Miller's Ale House, which is a South Florida tradition. There's one in Queens, and as soon as this is all over, I'm going there because they have this thing called the Zinger Mountain Melt. That's French fries, buffalo chicken tenders, melted cheese, scallions, bacon, thrown under a broiler. It's incredible. Top 5 food.
All right, Clay.
Very nice.
Food.
I've been on a Euros kick a little bit. A good Euro is always great. But I want to give a shout out to this place in Madison, this Russian dumpling place called Paul's Pelmeni. I don't know why you'd ever, get up here, guys, but if you ever did into Madison, go to Paul's Pelmeni because I'd never had Russian dumplings before, but they are incredible. So, seek out a Russian dumpling place if there's one around you guys.
That's awesome. Jake, food recommendation. Gummy bears?
Sticking with my theme. Yeah, no, sticking with my theme. It's mainly in this area for about 3 states, but Duck Donuts, the best donuts in the
Duck
freaking
Donuts
world.
is great. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. The French toast
love
and
donuts.
French toast is so good, and then I get cinnamon sugar with the chocolate glaze there on the top of it.
All right, we are hitting 9 o'clock, but I really want to ask this.
Hey,
last
we
one
started
here.
late anyway.
Yeah, you know what? We did. So whatever, Nick.
Screw that naked
Yeah,
kid.
what are you going to do? The next one is just pictureless, guys, I think, right? Who cares? All right, last recommendation. This is the hardest one, but it's always the most fun. Miscellaneous. What does miscellaneous mean? It can be literally anything, a gadget, a practice, something you do, an experience, whatever you would like to recommend. And I have found it is the first thing that pops in your head. That is usually the best one. So if anyone has one, I won't put any
Here.
pressure.
I recently
Anything.
Go ahead, Chris.
Chris, yeah, go
I
ahead.
recently bought a new guitar amp. It's a Vox. I think it's an AV20
Boxes are great.
something. It's like a modeling amp. And if you're like a guitar snob, you know that modeling amps kind of have a bad reputation. This one actually is great. I've been playing a lot more guitar lately since I bought it, and highly recommend that one.
Vox amps are great. I love them. Jake or Clay?
I'll go. If you like energy drinks, I found these, and it's Amino Energy, and the strawberry tastes like strawberry Starburst. I might or might not have about 10 cases at the house when I bought them on sale. So just so you know, if you like energy drinks and looking for something new, this is the best. It's sponsor me, Amino Energy. I'll happily promote it.
Clay.
I mentioned it earlier, but check out Super Mega Baseball. They somehow have only like 8,000 followers on Twitter, which is a damn shame. So
It's really
yeah,
fun.
it's
I
great.
definitely second that one. It's a great game.
Yeah, check that out.
I will
Support
definitely
them.
have to check that out because I'm looking. I would love to play a baseball video game since
Yeah,
I don't.
we don't want
really have
just
one.
MLB The Show on the market. I guess they have
exactly.
RBI baseball, but I don't really count that.
I'm pretty sure Fast worked on RBI baseball or something.
Oh, sorry.
All right. I think that is going to do it. I don't think, I don't know if Nick is, I don't know how this works actually. If Nick's just going to kick us off, if he's going to pop in here. Oh, God, there he is.
I have one more. Hold on, time out.
I was so tempted just to take Ben off when he said, we're going to go farther, whatever.
I mean, I had one more really fun question, but it's okay. It's okay.
What is it?
So I'll give you one more thing.
All right.
Nick.
Okay.
Nick, I'll even give you this. On YouTube, go to this guy's channel. It's Pitch Meetings by. I had him on my show by Ryan George. If you want to watch something, just burn your daylight all day long and watch these shows. Go watch them.
Sounds good.
The last fun question I had, if anybody has a good story, was going to be what is the time that you laughed the hardest? Think of a story or something where you just, I mean, tears are streaming down your face. Someone probably farted, and that's okay. It doesn't necessarily have to be a good story, but just the hardest you ever laughed.
I tried to read David Sedaris's Me Talk Pretty one day on a plane, and like I legitimately had people ask me to stop.
Please stop reading this book.
It is so funny.
Seinfeld, one of his first stand-ups when he was talking about being in the shower and trying to get the hair off the wall, not knowing where it came
Yes,
from.
I know that bit.
Yes, I was in tears.
That's a great bit. Clay, Nick, you got
Not
one?
the hardest I've ever laughed, but I mentioned that Beef House episode.
Yes.
It builds to this really, it builds, and once it hits that peak, it's hilarious. So don't watch it with your children if you have children.
Yeah, if it's Tim and Eric, I'm
humor.
definitely not going to do that. Nick, do you have one?
I had someone
What was
in physics class in like 9th grade who was just like the buffoon, and he tried to do like the Kramer thing coming into the physics classroom, but the teacher locked the door, and he has like a window in the door, and I'm across the way, and I remember he tried to open the door and do it, and he just slammed his face into the door. I mean, like they opened the door, and he just being him, he just laid there waiting for someone to go open the door. It was pretty amazing.
That's fantastic. Thank you for letting me get that last question in.
No problem, Palmer. And also, all of you guys, this was super fun. I mean, it's the baseball is fun one. I literally just said, like, all right, you guys are great. And I know if I just throw you all together, you'll just have a fun panel doing whatever. And I was right. So I am the best. Thank you all so much.
Yes,
Great
you
job,
are.
Nick.
Nick, thanks
You
for
did great.
including me.
This is all, This is all you.
No. This was awesome. Really appreciate all you for doing this. This is for a great cause and everything.
I like
And
Spore
thank you
more.
so much to us. I understand how you feel right now, Seeley, and it surprises me personally. But we can get over this. We can figure this out.
I like Nick more because I have to.
But anyway, really, I don't want to push back Miles Nelson crew any longer.
Please don't. Yeah.
So really, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. I hope.
Yeah. Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks
All
for
right,
having me,
guys.
everybody.
See ya.
Take care, guys.
Yeah,
I left you last.
I love you.